recording on Audacity as well. Make sure we speak in the microphones, please, and thank you. When we do speak, the people that are here live on the show. And, hey, yep, we're live. We're officially live.
Dun, dun, dun.
There we go. All right. How's it going, everybody? This is Omar Thabit here, and welcome to the Table Talk podcast. We are very, very happy to be launching this show. I'm excited. This show specifically is definitely going to be interesting, to say the least. We are here to talk about the vaccine, but before we talk about are you for or against the vaccine, I'm going to quickly introduce everybody that's here. And then once I introduce everyone, I do also want to talk about the sponsors for the show. And then after we talk about the sponsors, we can then get into basically the conversation, which is basically, are you for or against the vaccine? With that said, first of all, like I said, my name is Omar Thabit. Next to me is my big sis, Abir Thabit. You want to wave at the camera, by the way? They're looking at you over there. Weird. Across from her is Shema Ghalib. We are the Table Talk crew, by the way. This is the Table Talk crew under Oz Media. Next to Shema Ghalib is Dominic Sarvello. The guy has been in the education field for over 20 years, has the history in education, and I appreciate you being here, even in person, by the way, so thank you. And then if you guys can see from the TV, on the TV we have Ziad Al-Haddi from the Act Accordingly Bash and Z podcast, so appreciate him. And then below him we have Bashir Al-Haddi, who is the other guy, host of the Act Accordingly with Bash and Z podcast. By the way, Bashir is the MVP, by the way, man. This guy has helped me through technology problems and everything, man, so I appreciate it. And then next to him is Dr. Mo Sahuba, the owner of Farmore Pharmacy. I mean, I don't know if, that's just one of the few things that Dr. Mo Sahuba has done in the community, and I know he's smiling right now and watching. So I appreciate you being in the building. I appreciate everybody who is here, by the way, in the building today and here with us. So thank you so much for being here. So again, before we start going on, I do want to give a shout out to the people and to the businesses that are the sponsors of Table Talk Podcast. I'm going to quickly just go over each and every single one of them that are the sponsors. So beginning with the Balkan House of Hamtramck. Thank you to Juma Ekic over there at the Balkan House. They are a gold sponsor. They are famous for their doner kebab sandwich. They even serve breakfast. All of their food there is halal. Like I said, the service is A1. They always give back to the community. So thank you to Juma Ekic and everyone over there at the Balkan House. And then you got to also give a shout out to Give to Gain. Give to Gain is a non-profit organization that sponsors orphans in Yemen. 100% of all the donations goes to the less fortunate. They appreciate all the people who donate, because without the people, this would have not been done without them. For those that don't know, Yemen has the largest humanitarian crisis and aid operation. 5 million people are at risk of famine. 15 million need water or sanitation support. So shout out to Arif. He owns a couple businesses, but he rather wanted to highlight a non-profit organization in a way of advertising it so that people can donate to it. You can donate through Venmo at Give to Gain, Zelle, which the number is 313-445-8638, and then Cash App, money sign Give to Gain. And then another gold sponsor of ours is BC Adhesives from Franklin, Wisconsin. We appreciate BC Adhesives. You can go to BC Adhesives for all of your industrial adhesive needs. They do food packaging, book binding, product assembly, and many other industrial services. If you're in need of adhesives for your business or are having trouble with your current adhesive application, you can contact them by phone. Their number is 1-888-679-9825, or their website, which is www.bcadhesives.com. And then last but not least, we have to give a shout out to Leo's Coney Island in Royal Oak. That's Umar Al-Halimi over there. Those people are great people. Delicious American style food, known for their conies, fried chicken gyro, breakfast, chili, everything that you could think of at a Coney Island. They got it. Leo's Coney Island have been around for a very long time, and I believe that the Leo's is the best coney of them all. Shout out to, again, Umar Al-Halimi, and also the BC Adhesives team, Matt Cassidy, Terry Cassidy, Ed, and Jake as well. So there goes our sponsors, and now it's time to get ready and get the show on the road. Again, thank you to everybody that is here. I appreciate you. Then maybe if you want to introduce yourselves, even when I ask the first question, and quickly just kind of touch on who you are and what you do. So with that said, I'm gonna start off with the doctor. Dr. Mosahuba, you are here with us. You are live, and if people don't watch it now, of course they're going to be watching it later, so that is the hope as well. And if you are watching, feel free to comment and ask any questions. Maybe we'll be able to share that with the panel. So with that said, going to Dr. Mosahuba, the first question, obviously you can introduce yourself a little bit more, and then why are you for taking the vaccine? By the way, I'm assuming that you are for taking the vaccine, Dr. Mosahuba.
Definitely. So everyone, thanks for inviting me over, Omar, and great job on the show. I know you came to my office and we met, and you did a good show as well. So a little bit of background. I've been a practicing pharmacist since '98, and I've seen many things happen throughout my career, from people dying of various conditions to dealing with the chronic conditions for decades. And this pandemic, like no other disease in the U.S., is by far the most interesting virus that has come around. And I got involved also in this coronavirus, during the early years of the pandemic, where people were basically struggling to find masks, sanitizers, alcohol, what have you. My company was the first, probably in Michigan, to be able to produce in-house sanitizers and be able to import masks. And we had a lot of people. We had hundreds of people every day coming to our locations, fighting over, to get masks and sanitizers. And I'm really surprised how quickly people forget the devastation of this disease and what it done to our lifestyle. Nevertheless, I'm for it, and I can go into the science in a bit. But I just wanted to touch that people quickly forget, what it did to families, to individuals, to health conditions, to, our lifestyle, our ability to go around and see people. And now that the vaccine is here, I'm shocked actually that people are still questioning, or rather go around without being vaccinated and have a chance of transmitting the virus to other people. Allowing the virus to continue to mutate, because those who are vaccinated actually are helping the virus and its ability to mutate. So that's all I'm going to say right now, because there's a lot to say, but I just wanted to kind of give the audience a bit of a bit of information or a bit of opinion from what I see from my side.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Mosahuba. And going from someone that is for the vaccine, we can now move on to someone who is opposed to the vaccine. And we're going to move to you now, Shema Ghalib, because I know Shema is very passionate about this topic. So first of all, again, if you want to touch on who you are a little bit more, and then, because obviously from this point forward, people will know who you are. But if you want to touch on that a little more, and then explain to us, why are you against taking the vaccine?
Well, we didn't give it out to them, man.
My bad. I'm sorry. I should have just.
Where are your sound effects? Are we doing that?
Yeah, I do got sound effects. Yeah, if you want to do it, you can definitely take it.
We're definitely giving you sound effect for this conversation.
Okay.
That one. All right, guys. My name is Shema Ghalib. I am a third-year nursing student at Chamberlain University. A little bit about myself. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2017. A few years after that, I went through the ringer, had 27 surgeries and procedures in 1 year. The following year, I had 9 procedures. Our share of basically calling the hospital my second home. And to go into detail, I gave a lot of trust, or I had a lot of trust for people that I genuinely thought were there to save my life or to give better care to me. And unfortunately, you come to realize that that's not the whole field. And again, that's why I decided to study nursing, coming from a teaching background, because I wanted to help change healthcare. It's not something that I'm against, absolutely not, but it's something that I can recognize that has a lot of respect and holds my intellect to a very, very high regard. I want to be able to say that yes, there are records and there are research that's there that I shouldn't have to be bullied to take anything. And as an American citizen, I feel like this whatever you want to call it, this scamdemic virus, whatever, I just feel like it stripped us completely out of our freedom, our liberty, and our pursuit of happiness. And we can talk about that in a second.
All right, and now to introduce Mr. Dominic Sarvello. We worked with this guy for how many years? Both of us switching up. Yeah, 4 years for myself, 9 years for Abir, my sister. So
It's been a long
you want to
time.
introduce yourself and then tell us what your stance is on the vaccine.
Thank you, Omar. I appreciate being on this program and being asked to be here. I don't know what I'm doing here with all these big hitters, but anyway, my background is in education and also the nonprofit community service organizations. I've served in those areas. I'm actually for taking the vaccine, and the reasons are pretty simple. Right now, the only three things that we have as a defense against the COVID-19 and its variances is the vaccine, masks, and also social distancing. Those are the three things. And so, we've got to be able to work with those things and be able to go ahead and promote that. The reason being that we need to limit the spread of the COVID-19 and also reduce the hospital admissions. Studies show that a vaccinated patient or vaccinated patients are 29 times more likely to be hospitalized for COVID-19 than a vaccinated one. So I think when you look at that, and and I can understand people who have conditioning situations that they need to be shown some consideration as well. But we need to be able to reduce the admissions to hospitals, and people are not the people who need the services and who are having heart attacks and strokes and everything else. They're not being able to get services because of the patients that are there. Very good article in last Sunday's Detroit Free Press on the opinion page by a guy by the name of Thomas Liu. And he goes on to give examples of hospitals that are just overflowing with COVID patients. So anyway, that's where I stand, and I guess
Thank you.
that's where I will be.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, appreciate it. And now I am going to go to Ziad Al-Hadi, one of the hosts of Act Accordingly with Bash and Z. Ziad, you want to talk a little bit about yourself and how people can find the podcast, by the way, Act Accordingly with Bash and Z, and then tell us what your stance is on the vaccine.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Muhammad, for giving us this platform, and thank you to this lovely panel for just being here and talking about such a serious subject. As Umar said, that Bash and I do have our podcast, Act Accordingly with Bash and Z, but we do that as me and him and two other people have our discussions on various things, and this is one of those. The stance that I'm taking is similar to Shema, is that I'm not so much anti-vaccine. I'm sure medicine has come a long way from our grandparents and our parents and whoever before them, but I'm anti-force of a choice on our what we can put into our bodies without fully understanding everything that goes in on us. So I think that there's been too much history as far as government getting involved with pharmaceuticals and making sure numbers look right to say that we won't give up any more after that. So I think that everybody has a good mind, or they can talk to whoever they need to talk to make a decision for them, and this shouldn't be mandated. I think that's the big thing, is that we're forced to do something that's totally against our will. And not only that, is it starts with, hey, you're given this carrot if you do this thing for me, and then it ends off to where, okay, well, if you don't want the carrot, you get the stick. So I think that that's something that in the future that it could happen, and that's what I really want to avoid, and that's where I stand on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ziad. I appreciate it. And now moving on to his co-host, Bashir. Bashir, same thing with you. You want to introduce yourself a little more and then tell us what your stance is on taking or not taking the vaccine.
Omar, thanks for having us again. My name is Bashir Al-Haddi. I am the co-host of the Act Accordingly podcast with Bash and Z. Unlike most people that I'm close with, I am not vaccinated. I've been pushed by a lot of family members to get vaccinated. However, I'm not completely comfortable with the idea of getting vaccinated at this time. There's too many things developing, and it seems that every so often we're hearing another development on the vaccine. Hey, there's another, you take a shot, you'll be good, and then it turns into take 2 shots, and then it turns into take 3 shots, and it becomes a yearly thing. I'm not a flu vaccine, a flu shot taker either. I don't do that. I've never done that. I've got a lot of family in the medical field. They are forced to take the flu shot, and they are currently being forced to take the COVID shot against their will. It's either take the shot or you can't come to work anymore. And unfortunately, I don't buy into that system. I think we are of sound mind and body that we should be able to make our own decisions and be able to judge the facts for ourselves. I don't fully buy into the CDC, the FDA, these government-run agencies. Unfortunately, I don't buy into those agencies. Reason being is because they've proven to be, they've proven to have bias at times and corruption. They're human. We're all human, and unfortunately, one way or another, you can be corrupted by an external force.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Bashir. So I'm going to break down basically who's for, who's against it, and go from there so that people can understand it that eventually watch or listen to this show. So basically, the people that are for the vaccine, you got Dr. Mo Sahuba, you got Mr. Dominic Sarvello here, and then you got myself. My stance is basically, yes, I'm definitely for the vaccine. If you want to come back to a normal world, normal life, taking the vaccine is the route to take. And if you are against taking the vaccine, I am also not, I feel like those people should not be attacked for not wanting to take the vaccine, because that's what I kind of feel like is happening right now. But those people that choose not to take the vaccine must understand the consequences that come with it, which is businesses might decide that, hey, you might have to be let go, and stuff like that. So I just want people to understand that that's what's just the truth and the reality of it. Then my sister is neutral here, so
Can I speak?
I was gonna say, I want you to basically say what it is that you want to say. By the way.
Okay, so I honestly feel like everybody has their own choice, at the end of the day, because you're going to be the one with the consequences. So with me, I could only speak about myself and what journey I went through when COVID first, came about. So I took the vaccine as soon as it was allowed for teachers. I spoke to a couple family members that were in the medical field. I spoke to my primary care doctor. Alhamdulillah, I don't have any pre-existing health issues. So for me, it was what I felt like I needed to do for my community. I'm big on community for lots of reasons. That's why the smallpox back in the 1970s went away. But at the same time, there's people that got COVID that are immune to it that I don't think need to take the shot. So there's people that have pre-existing health issues that don't need. I don't think they need to take the shot. I think it's a by-person, choice. So it's what you're going through and what your body could actually handle. And that's just my stance on it.
All right, there you go. So she shared her stance. I want to make sure everybody is on the same page, or at least understand where we all stand in this situation. So now that everybody shared their stance of why they're for and against it, we can now move on to the next question, which is basically, do you believe or do you think that public officials, you got officers, teachers, people that work with the public, firefighters, and even healthcare workers should be required to take the vaccine? So we started with Dr. Mostahuba on that one. So I'm going to start off with you, Big Sis. I know you just ended it. So I'm going to start off with you since you were the last one on this time around. So do you believe that healthcare workers, teachers, police officers, people that work with the public should be required to take the vaccine?
Okay, so I didn't even introduce myself earlier. I'm a first grade teacher and business owner, and I'm around a lot of people a lot of the time, especially kids that can't get the vaccine at this time. Like I said, it's person to person and what their body could handle. I believe, I'm big on community immunity, so yeah, honestly, I really think that they should, but like I said, if they have underlying health issues or they should have the choice. They shouldn't, we shouldn't force them to, but they should consider it.
All right. Sarvello, I'm going to move on to you, Sarvello. Do you feel like people should public workers be required to take the vaccine?
I do. And the reason is that I think we all have a responsibility to provide for the safety of others and ourselves. It's not a case of having a choice. There was a quote that I looked at. It said, "There's no pride in saying it's my choice. It's my right to choose. Your right to choose ends at my right to make sure that I and my loved ones are without fear of being infected." And that, to me, is very, very important. When you're considering, and again, I know that there's going to be differences, and there's going to be exceptions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're talking about the rights and the health of yourself and others as well, then that's why I think that they should be vaccinated.
All right, and Bashir, I'm going to pass it on to you now. Bashir, do you feel like people who work with the public, around the public, for the public, should be vaccinated, required to be vaccinated?
Again, that goes back to the comfort level of these people. And, just from what I've seen in the medical field, they're requiring their employees to take the vaccine. And the one question that's come up was, if I take this vaccine, am I still required to wear all of the PPE that I'm required to wear before I take the vaccine? And the answer is yes. You're still required to wear this, almost a full body hazmat suit when you're going into these rooms to treat these patients. My wife is a respiratory therapist. She deals with COVID patients every single day at her job. She's in the room, she's giving them breathing treatments, she sees all of this stuff that's happening. Unfortunately, what we're seeing is most people that go into the hospital for COVID don't come out. It's sad, but it's the reality. And it doesn't seem to be, the vaccine doesn't seem to be slowing things down on the hospital side as far as whether or not these people come out alive. It seems that once you walk through that door, it's straight downhill. They put you on a respirator. It's very hard to get your lungs working again to where you can come off the respirator and have a normal life again. So, being forced to take the vaccine and then still required to wear all of the same PPE, it just doesn't seem, the logic doesn't seem to be there with that. I don't see the logic in it.
All right. Thank you so much, Bashir, for sharing that. Dr. Mo, it's on you now, Dr. Mo Suhuba. Do you feel like public officials, public workers should be required to take the vaccine?
So, I do understand some of the some of the participants here saying, in regards to having a choice and basically choosing whether they should be, they should allow someone to inject something in their body that they might not agree to, and so on. That is certainly a right. But I think that we want to move beyond that, as citizens and as community members, and understand the concept of benefiting the entire community. I mean, yeah, it's true that people should have the right to decide what is injected, what drugs to take or not take. But we're hoping as healthcare providers that people move beyond that concept that it's not just about them. This is about their elderly parents or their grandparents who may not be able to handle the condition or the virus when it's being spread to them. So it's almost like an ethical responsibility, I would call it, and instead of making it mandatory. Because for me, I took the vaccine, and the rest of the people in my family who are younger than me took the vaccine not because we're afraid that we might not be able to handle the vaccine, the coronavirus, but because we wanted to protect our parents and our grandparents and our relatives. So I think people, if they looked at it from that perspective, then it's more likely that people will accept taking the vaccine, slowing the spread. Whether they're healthcare whether they're teachers or firefighters or police officers, I certainly don't want to separate people in regards to their to what they do, whether they work for the federal government or the state or whether they're patient from the schools or others. That should not really be how that should not be really the way to handle the situation. I think people have to look at this from the ethical responsibility that they have to do their part to spread the disease. I mean, it is obviously, I think by now we are now into the 18th months of this virus, and we continue to see mutations. And the brother is mentioning that why do physicians and other nurses and others still have to wear PPEs? Because you still have a 1%, 2% chance. And that's okay. Vaccines are 100% proof, but they are definitely slowing they're slowing the hospital admission.